We have a question to answer, don't we?
Yes, we do. Ron Ballard asked about how you attract anything other than ruby-throated hummers.
Yeah, this time of year, I always like to, oh, there we go.
Aren't they cute?
There's a little posturing going on there. The one on the left is saying, no, I don't want you around my feeder. And you'll see them sharing a lot of times. Most of the time you don't. If there's plenty of food, they'll fight over it. Even if there's a little bit of food, they'll fight over it. These guys just don't like to share.
Yeah.
But if it gets really cold, really wet, there's not much food, you'll see them sitting down, sharing a feeder. But can you see a different type of hummingbird? Generally, you have to go to another part of the country. It's a different type of hummingbird.
Okay.
In general, the eastern United States is ruby throats.
Okay.
This is very general. In the central United States, it's really like black chins. Then in part of that, and all in the west and up the west coast, and all the western United States is rufous. 3 main types of hummingbirds we have here. And like I said, about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it's like that's the way it is. Any bird other than that, or any bird basically seen after November is going to die. It can't live. The poor little thing, it won't be anything to eat, it's going to die. We know now through a lot of the research that that's just not the case. And I had heard some reports of some hummingbirds being somewhere in wintertime, and I met a guy by the name of Bob Sargent who was out of Alabama, who was doing some research in that area, along with hummingbird migration. And we got together, and he came and banded one of the birds I'd heard about. And so we got to know each other, and lo and behold, Christmas Eve, soon after I met Bob, I looked out and there was a hummingbird. It was hard to tell what it was because the sun wasn't right, the angle wasn't right, and it just so happened it was a young male black-chin hummingbird.
Wow, yeah.
And I couldn't get the color, it only had black. But then as the weeks went by, we knew what it was because Bob came over, captured the bird, we weighed it, measured it, positively identified it as black chin, and put a little U.S. Fish and Wildlife or ID bracelet on it so we could always tell it. The bird hung around a while, a lot of people got to see it. It was the first one ever recorded in the state of Georgia. From that point on, we started seeing other birds because more and more people started listening. Keep your feeder out in the wintertime. And we were always fighting that, oh, I put my feeder out, or take your feeder down by Labor Day, or the birds are going to stay here at the feeder and freeze to death in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. The birds move through when there's peak availability of food for them to eat on their long trip down to Central America. So nothing you're going to do other than putting them in a cage is going to keep those birds here. The only way they'll stay is if this is where they want to be, or as if they're too sick to move.
Wow.
So what we found is the birds in the western United States, a lot of those birds actually come east and southeast to spend the winter. It's what that particular bird is supposed to do. So in the wintertime, if you keep a feeder out, especially in the southeast, and even as far north sometimes, you may see another bird on your feeder. And if you do, call somebody and let them know. Check somebody with your local Audubon Society. Check your local wild bird stores and say, look, here it is, November, December, January. I've got a hummingbird in my feeder. Somebody might want to check this out. And the reason is, most likely it is not. If you're in the east, it's most likely not a ruby throat. I've been doing this, like I said, a long time. And I have seen 2 or 3 ruby throats at feeders in the wintertime that looked reasonably healthy. I have seen so many others that weren't ruby throats. They're western species. Georgia now claims 12 species of hummingbirds.
Wow.
12. So a little bit of everything has been found in the state because people are looking for them in the wintertime. We've had many where they come to a feeder, the next year they come back to it, so they'll spend the winter here instead of Central America, what would be normal for them. They go somewhere else and doing fine there, and they come back here. So we know this goes on. So put the feeder out. Let somebody know if you see something in the wintertime.